Have you ever wondered if you really know what you need to be happy? Don't worry, you're not the only one. We're so busy chasing things, goals, and people that we forget the basics. Of course, everyone talks about happiness, but who tells you how to achieve it without selling you nonsense? Don't worry, we're going to cut the crap and tell you what psychological studies and ancient wisdom teach us. Happiness is in the details we ignore every day. Laugh, go for a walk, wake up early, and please, turn off your phone once in a while. Come on, stay tuned to today's video and discover why science and ancient sages are still giving us lessons in the 21st century. Ready to turn your life around? But before we begin, pay attention to this story, which will help you better understand the wisdom contained in this material. Once upon a time in a quiet valley, there lived a young man named Marcus who spent his days searching for happiness. Although he had many material things and his life seemed perfect from the outside, Marcos always felt that something was missing. One day, he decided to embark on a journey to discover the true secret of happiness. During his journey, Marcos met a wise old man who lived in a small cabin on top of a hill. After talking with him for hours, the old man decided to share some advice. He told him, "To live happily, you don't need more possessions or more power. There are 3 essential things you must know and practice. The first is gratitude. If you don't appreciate what you have, you will never have enough. Be grateful for every small moment, every encounter, every breath." Marcos listened but still felt confused. The old man continued, "The second is acceptance. Life will always be full of changes, of ups and downs. If you learn to accept things as they are without trying to control everything, you will find peace in the midst of the chaos. Remember, you can't stop the storms, but you can learn to dance in the rain." Finally, the old man looked Marcos in the eyes and added, "The third and most important is love. Love what you do, love the people around you, and most importantly, love yourself. Only when your heart is full of love can you radiate happiness to others and receive it back." Marcos listened carefully and decided to put these teachings into practice in his daily life. As he began to be grateful for what he had, to accept changes, and to love more deeply, he discovered that his search for happiness had ended. Happiness was not something to be found outside, but something to be cultivated from within. Back in the valley, his friends noticed the change in him. When they asked him what the secret of his transformation was, Marcos replied, "Happiness is not the destination but the journey. It is in small things, in the present. If you live with gratitude, acceptance, and love, you will discover that happiness is already within you." The moral of this story is that happiness does not depend on external circumstances, but on how you choose to live and perceive the world. Practice gratitude, acceptance, and love, and you will find that true happiness has always been within your reach. Before we begin with the first lesson, if you find these videos useful, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay informed about the latest news. Let's begin. 1. Laugh more. Have you ever stopped to think about how much we complicate our lives? Most of the time, we take everything so seriously that it seems like we're in a contest of who can frown the hardest. However, science is screaming at us that maybe we should loosen up a bit and laugh more. As that famous philosopher once said, even if we don't quote him too much because we don't want to overshadow him, laughter can be the antidote we all need in our daily routine. Now let's talk a little science. The stuff that really impresses people. A study led by Dr. Lee Burke of Loma Linda University showed that laughter is like a little warrior against stress. And not just any warrior, it's one wearing armor made of jokes and chuckles. According to Burke, laughter not only makes us feel good, but it also reduces the production of hormones linked to stress. So if you ever thought that laughing was a waste of time, it's time to rethink that idea. Laughter could be the best medicine. And I'm not talking about a cough syrup data. Imagine your life is like a roller coaster, full of ups and downs, unexpected turns, and every now and then, it leaves you feeling a bit sick. Laughter acts as the harness that keeps you safe on that emotional roller coaster. By laughing, you lower your levels of cortisol and adrenaline, the stress hormones. It's as if a magical fairy came along and said, "Enough with the worry. Here come the beta endorphins." These hormones not only make you feel happy, but also block pain. So if your boss gives you bad news, laugh a little. Maybe laughter is your best response. And if you think this is only for those with an exceptional sense of humor, think again. Research published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine revealed that laughter therapy sessions helped cancer patients improve their mood and reduce depression. In short, if you think laughter is just a comedic tool, you are underestimating its power. I'm not telling you that you should become a stand-up comedian, but that you should start looking for reasons to smile more often. Try laughing at the small things, at your own mistakes, at that bad joke your friend told, or even at the news that seems straight out of a horror movie. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the seriousness of life, remember that you have a powerful tool at your disposal. Don't underestimate the power of a good laugh. It could be the key to opening the door to a happier and more balanced life. Remember, laughter is the best medicine, even when the doctor looks like a comedian. Too. Spend time outdoors and in nature. Imagine for a moment that your life is an action movie, but instead of exciting car chases, the plot revolves around you being trapped in an office, surrounded by fluorescent lights and bright screens. What a way to live, right? It's time to take a step back and question whether it's really necessary to stay locked in that environment. The answer seems clear. Getting outdoors and embracing nature could be your best decision. And if you're not convinced, you can always use the excuse that the ancient sages would have approved. Spending time outdoors is not just a whim. Science supports it. Nature, that simple but often forgotten concept, can be a powerful ally in your search for a happier life. Since time immemorial, humans have been in contact with trees, the wind, and the singing of birds. So why do we opt for air conditioning and sealed windows? There may not be mosquitoes in the office, but there is also no fresh air that revitalizes the soul. A study analyzed how people living in a forest in Japan felt compared to city dwellers. The results? Surprise! Those who were surrounded by trees experienced a notable decrease in cortisol levels and heart rate. In other words, stress evaporated like water on a hot day. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember that you don't need an expensive spa. You just need a pair of comfortable shoes and a natural trail. Furthermore, if anxiety and depression are your constant companions, nature can be your personal therapist. According to research, spending time outdoors exercising significantly improves your mood. But of course, I'm not talking about taking a walk in the park while eating a donut. Here we're talking about a genuine connection with the environment, feeling the earth under your feet, smelling the freshly cut grass, and listening to the murmur of water can be as revitalizing as a good coffee. And if you think that escaping into nature is only for weekends, think again. Science also suggests that even having a window with a view of a natural environment in the office can work wonders. One study showed that employees who could contemplate natural landscapes had greater job satisfaction and lower stress levels. So if your boss doesn't let you work from the beach, at least try to move to an office with a view of the park. Getting outdoors is not just an option. It's almost a necessity in the frantic world we live in. The physical and mental benefits of nature are as clear as a blue sky on a sunny day. So for your sake and your sanity, try to spend more time outdoors. Life is too short to be trapped between four walls, so why not make nature your best ally? At the end of the day, remember that you can always look for a shortcut to happiness. And that shortcut is called nature. Let me make one thing clear, my friend. The outdoors is the best psychologist you can find. 3. Wake up earlier. Have you noticed that modern life seems to have conspired to turn mornings into a form of torture? We all love that delicious feeling that the alarm clock doesn't exist. And there's something in that phrase that screams, "I'm a proud night owl." But what if I told you that waking up earlier could be the key to a happier and healthier life? It sounds cliché, I know, but stay with me for a moment. Studies from the University of Toronto tell us that those who rise with the sun tend to be happier and more optimistic. So here's a first warning. If you're used to getting out of bed at 10 a.m., it's time to consider making a change. Now, I'm not suggesting you set your alarm for 6 a.m. and jump out of bed like a spring. No, that would be crazy. It's about making a gradual adjustment, like tuning a guitar so it sounds perfect. The trick is to tune into your body's natural rhythm. Science says there's something called circadian rhythms, and if that doesn't ring a bell, it's time you got to know them. These rhythms are like the beat of a symphony, marking the time for your body to function optimally. When you go to bed early and get up at dawn, your body feels fresher and more rested, which allows you to face the day with energy. Imagine waking up and having time to enjoy a hot coffee while the world is still silent. That, my friend, sounds like pure happiness. Now, not everything is so simple. Sometimes there are people who, by pure genetics, are more nocturnal than anything else. But according to a study, that tendency may be linked to a higher risk of mental health problems like schizophrenia or depression. Is this a wake-up call? Maybe, but I don't want you to panic either. It's not that every night owl is destined for unhappiness. The matter is more complicated and sometimes comes down to our personal preferences. So how can you make the leap and become an early riser? Here are some suggestions. First, establish a sleep routine. Try to go to bed at the same time every day. Even on weekends, your body will appreciate the consistency. Second, avoid screens before bed. Those bright devices are like mischievous children who steal your sleep. And finally, find a motivation to get up early, whether it's a book you want to read or an exercise you've always wanted to try. The key is to find what inspires you to get up with joy. In conclusion, waking up early is not just a cliché tip, but a science-backed strategy for leading a more fulfilling and satisfying life. Of course, you have to find a balance and be aware of your own needs and rhythms. So the next time you think about staying in bed a couple more hours, remember that maybe the sun and happiness are waiting for you just on the other side of that pillow. Wake up and shine, because life doesn't wait for those who oversleep. As Marcus Aurelius said in his meditations, the dawn is the promise of a new beginning. 4. Fill your days with plans. Have you noticed that weekends seem to last less than coffee in a poorly made cup? One day you're planning an exciting Saturday. and the next you wake up on Monday wondering where all that time went. The good news is that there are ways to make your free days feel longer and therefore more satisfying. This is where a little bit of philosophy and a touch of science come into play. The key to filling your life with meaning is to strike a balance between planning and being spontaneous. David Eagleman, that neuroscientist who seems to have all the answers, states that experiencing new things can make time feel more abundant. Imagine your brain is like a camera. When you're stuck in a routine, the lens is in automatic mode, capturing blurry and monotonous images. But when you decide to step out of your comfort zone, whether it's by exploring a new neighborhood or trying an exotic restaurant, it's as if you switch to manual mode. You capture every detail, every flavor, every ray of sun as if it were. The last, life becomes more vibrant and time seems to stretch. But be careful, there's a trick here. If you plan every minute of your day off, you can end up feeling like a robot with a to-do list. According to research, over-organizing your leisure time can make you feel overwhelmed instead of enjoying yourself. What started as a promise of fun turns into another task you have to check off your list. Do you really want your free time to become an obligation? The solution is simple. Be a little more carefree. Give yourself a break. If you decide not to have a concrete plan on a Saturday, great. You might discover a new hobby or enjoy a coffee with that friend you haven't seen in ages. Spontaneity can lead you to unexpected adventures and memories worth keeping. So make a deal with yourself. Leave some space in your schedule for the magic of the unforeseen. So how can you make your free time feel fuller and less like a handful of sand slipping through your fingers? One idea is to dedicate one of your days off to exploring a new place, whether in your city or the surrounding area, by visiting a museum, taking a walk, or simply getting lost in a local market. Remember, the important thing is the novelty. Also, when you plan your activities, maintain a light attitude. If something doesn't go as you expected, it's okay. Sometimes the best stories are the ones that weren't in the script. It's essential that you leave one day free on your calendar to do whatever you feel like doing. You can decide when you wake up if you'd rather stay home or go out and discover things. Flexibility is the key. Instead of accumulating material objects, focus on experiences. Going out to eat, visiting exhibitions, or attending a workshop are activities that add up to make your life a mosaic of memories. At the end of the day, time is a subjective concept and depends on how you live it. If you fill your days with plans and at the same time leave room for spontaneity, you will find yourself enjoying every moment and not feeling trapped in an endless routine. The philosophy of the ancient thinkers teaches us that in the end, what matters is how we respond to what happens to us. So the next time you feel like your weekend is slipping away, remember that you have the power to change that perception. As a wise proverb says, life is like a book. If you don't go out and explore, you will only read one page. 5. Don't give up on your passions. Have you stopped to think about what you are really passionate about? That activity that makes you forget time and that, instead of overwhelming you, fills you with energy. Modern life often pushes us into a routine and to set aside what makes us feel alive. It's as if they told you that the only path to success is to give up your passions and dedicate yourself to doing things that don't motivate you. But who decided that happiness and work are enemies? If you're asking yourself that, welcome to the club of philosophical thinkers who remind us that the search for happiness begins with knowing ourselves That one study yielded interesting results. Those who dedicated time to their passions were 18% less sad and up to 34% less stressed. Yes, you heard correctly, less stress. It almost sounds like magic, but it's nothing more than the reality of living with purpose. So the next time you think about setting aside that hobby you love, ask yourself, is it really worth it? The answer, of course, is a resounding no. Now, you may be wondering if making your passion your job brings benefits. The answer is yes, but with a nuance. According to a Harvard Business Review article, when personal passions and work are different, greater benefits are obtained. It's as if dedicating yourself to what fulfills you, even if it's not your job, can transform your mood. The productivity. Expert Laura Vanderkam explains it brilliantly. She states that there are moments when time seems to vanish when we are immersed in our passions. The more time you spend in that zone of happiness, the more pleasant life is perceived. Imagine yourself as a child at an amusement park, enjoying every twist and turn instead of being trapped in a waiting room. Why not seek those moments daily? Of course, this all sounds great in theory, but life is not a Netflix series where you can skip the most boring episodes. This is where action comes into play. So instead of letting stress and routine dominate you, try the following. Reserve some time each week just for yourself, without distractions, and dedicate it to that activity that you are truly passionate about. It could be painting, writing, exercising, or even learning to cook those dishes you've always wanted to try. The key is to enjoy the process without the pressure of getting a result. So the next time someone suggests you give up your passions, remind them that happiness is not a distant goal, but a series of moments that we create by doing what we love. In life, as an ancient philosophy, true happiness lies in self-knowledge and in choosing our paths. Don't let the routine extinguish the fire. Light it and let it illuminate your life. As my late father used to say, he who doesn't dare to follow their passions will never know happiness. 6. Bet on kindness in a world where hurry and stress seem to be kings. Being kind is like finding a $50 bill in the pocket of a coat you haven't worn since last winter. Yes, it sounds cliché, but it's so true. Bet on kindness, and you'll see how it not only brightens someone else's day, but you'll also be doing yourself a favor. Because let's be honest, kindness is not just a gift you give others. It's a kind of trick that pays you back, and sometimes with interest. Imagine this. One day, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe you woke up late, you forgot your coffee, and to top it all off, your coworker is determined to steal your peace with their endless complaining about the photocopier. But instead of getting carried away by the tide of bad mood, you decide to be kind. You smile at them, you offer them a coffee, and you tell them that everything will be okay. You know what happens? Suddenly, the world seems a little brighter. Kindness, as Marian Rojas says, not only improves self-esteem and empathy, but it's also a natural antidote to stress and depression. When you do something good for someone, your body releases serotonin and dopamine, those feel-good hormones that make you feel like you've won the lottery, even though, let's be honest, the lottery is not always the solution. This small gesture of kindness can also help that person feel better, creating a chain of positivity that expands around you. It's like the butterfly effect, but with smiles. But of course, not everything is a bed of roses. There are those who will say that being kind is being silly, that kindness is a sign of weakness. For those skeptics, philosophers might have something to say. Ancient wisdom teaches us that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. So instead of letting the negativity of others drag you down, choose to be a lighthouse of kindness in the midst of the storm. So how can you practice kindness in your daily life? Think about making small gestures that don't require a lot of effort, like a simple good morning or holding the door for someone. You can also practice active listening. When someone talks to you, really listen to them. Sometimes what a person needs most is to be heard. Another way to be kind is to offer your help when you see someone struggling, whether it's with a heavy bag or a problem at work. And finally, don't underestimate the power of gratitude. Express thanks not only for what you receive, but also for what you observe around you. From the sun shining to a good book. So my friend, the next time you find yourself in the middle of the daily grind, remember that being kind is not just a gift for others. It's a gift you give yourself. Kindness has the power to transform not only your day, but also the day of those around you. Don't let cynicism and negativity drag you down. Take a moment to be kind and watch how the world around you changes. As it is said, kindness is the light that can dispel the darkness of selfishness. 7. Try saying yes more often. Have you ever stopped to think about how many times you say no to life? A friend invites you to a party, and instead of getting excited, you're looking for excuses. I'm tired. I don't feel like meeting new people. Or, I don't know how to dance. Seriously, when was the last time you let yourself go with the flow? Philosophy teaches us that not everything is under our control. But what if we start controlling something as simple as the word yes? You say that novelty makes you nervous. And it's true. Changing your routine can be like jumping into cold water in the winter, a small shock. But guess what? At the end of the day, the water is refreshing, and the feeling of having done something new can be much more pleasant than staying at home counting the wrinkles on your curtains. Now let's get to the point. The next time someone proposes a plan, try saying yes without overthinking it. Imagine you agree to go to that party. Sure, at first you might feel like a fish out of water, but as the hours go by, you might discover that the fish can swim better than you thought. Meeting new people and trying new things releases dopamine in your brain, that feel-good chemical that is related to pleasure and happiness. So why not give that party or dance class a chance? As Kit Roebuck says, we've all experienced the thrill of something new, and that thrill comes from new achievements. Yes, that's it. But of course, it's not about being the life of the party every day. Sometimes a small dose of yes can be all you need. You can start with something as simple as accepting that invitation for a coffee, an online course, or even a work meeting. Small experiences can turn into great adventures if you let life flow. And who knows, maybe you'll discover that you have a hidden talent for salsa dancing, or that you're the next judo master. Life is a great stage, and if you don't get on it, you'll miss the best shows. Now, if after trying it, you realize that it wasn't what you expected, it's okay. You're not going to die from having tried something new. On the contrary, you'll have stories to tell, and most importantly, you won't be left wondering what could have been. In the end, it seems more convenient to complain about something you didn't like than to regret not having tried it. So the next time someone invites you to an event or proposes a plan, take a deep breath, smile, and let a yes escape your lips. If you want to live a happier life, start saying yes more often. Remember that happiness is not a destination, but a journey full of small decisions. And sometimes the best decision is simply to step out of your comfort zone and let life surprise you. So how about you try this? After all, As Epictetus said, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. 8. Turn off your phone once in a while. How long has it been since you last turned off your phone? If you have to ask, it's probably been too long. It's curious how a piece of plastic and metal has become an extension of our being to the point that we forget there's a world outside of its bright screen. Turning off your phone is not just an act of rebellion against technology, but an opportunity to reclaim your mental and emotional health. Let's delve into the benefits of disconnecting for a while and how this simple action can transform your life. First, let's talk about science. Yes, that boring thing that sometimes saves us from falling into the abyss of screen addiction. Research has shown that freeing your mind from a device for just 15 minutes can have immediate positive effects on your well-being. It's like taking a deep breath after being underwater for too long. Can you imagine going to the surface and feeling the fresh air fill your lungs? That's what your brain feels when it disconnects for a bit. Now, if you think your phone only affects your relationship with yourself, think again. Studies have shown that having your phone on the table or in your hand during a conversation decreases the connection and empathy you feel toward the other person. Yes, those distracted glances and that "sorry, I was checking something," that becomes a repeated mantra that's not just a lack of attention. It's a genuine sabotage of your relationships. Who likes to feel belittled by a device? And if you're still not convinced, consider this. Giving up social media like Facebook, even for a few days, has been shown to reduce cortisol levels, that treacherous stress hormone. And let's be honest, Instagram has been labeled the worst social media platform for the mental health of adolescents. So if you want to feel less anxious and more present in your life, maybe it's time to put your phone on airplane mode and dedicate time to the people who really matter. So how do you do it? It's not necessary to go on a spiritual retreat in the mountains, although that doesn't sound bad. Start by establishing specific times of the day when you turn off your phone: during meals, before bed, or when you meet with friends. I promise you that at first it may seem difficult, like trying to quit sugar, but over time you will feel lighter and more connected to the world around you. Life is not found on a screen. It is lived in experiences, interactions, and shared emotions. Turning off your phone once in a while is not just a gesture. It is a declaration of independence from a world that constantly bombards us. By doing so, you not only improve your mental health but also nurture your relationships, making every conversation and every shared moment worthwhile. So the next time you feel the temptation to check your phone, remember that real life is happening right now, right in front of you. Turning off your phone is not an act of disconnection, but an open door to what really matters. 9. Take vacations and travel. Have you noticed that life has become an endless routine of work, obligations, and that annoying "do you have time for this?" that haunts us even in our dreams? It's normal to feel like a hamster on a wheel, running non-stop but not going anywhere. But what if I told you there's a way to escape this madness? Yes, I'm talking about vacations. And no, it's not just about taking a picture with the typical beach background that, let's admit it, you only post to make your friends jealous. Traveling is one of those wonders that not only takes you out of your routine, but also improves your mental health. So get comfortable, because I'm going to tell you why you should take a well-deserved vacation and how it can do you a favor. To start, there's the fact that traveling is not just a luxury. It's an investment in your well-being. According to one study, women who traveled more frequently tended to be less tense and more satisfied in their relationships. Can you imagine? Less stress and more happiness in your marriage. It's almost like finding a way to get a degree in happiness without ever stepping into a classroom. Now, let's talk about that delicious feeling of having a trip planned. A study in the UK showed that those who anticipated a vacation felt much happier with their lives in general. That means that even the mere act of daydreaming about an exotic place can make you smile a little more. Think of it as an antidote to gray days. You don't need to be on the beach to enjoy the idea of being there. And here comes the best part. You don't need entire weeks to benefit from this. A study revealed that even a couple of days on vacation can significantly decrease stress levels. So why not take a long weekend and escape to that place you've always wanted to visit? It's not necessary to plan a trip to the Maldives. Sometimes a nearby place can work wonders. It's you who decides. Isn't it worth dedicating a little time to yourself? If work allows, plan your getaways. Embrace a mindful approach. Choose what you can control, which in this case is your time and your priorities. Allow yourself to get out of the routine and recharge your batteries. These small decisions can have a big impact on your well-being. Also, don't underestimate the importance of stepping out of your comfort zone. Every trip is a lesson about yourself and the world. From trying a strange dish to getting lost in an unknown city, every experience teaches you something new. So why not let life surprise you? Taking a vacation is not just a whim. It's a necessity. Traveling helps you reduce stress, improves your relationships, and most importantly, reminds you that life is more than the daily grind. So don't wait any longer. Pack your bags, choose a destination, and let the adventure envelop you. Remember that at the end of the day, the memories you build are what will really stay with you. Sometimes getting lost is the best way to find yourself. 10. Spend time with friends and family. Have you ever stopped to think about what really matters in life? No, I'm not talking about whether your neighbor has a more expensive car than you do, or if your coworker just got that promotion you thought belonged to you. Let's talk about what really counts, your friends and family. Yes, those human beings who can sometimes get on your nerves, but who are the heart of your existence. Because let's be honest, money can buy you many things, but it can never buy shared moments or uncontrolled laughter at a family dinner. Several studies have confirmed that social interaction and family ties are like the cornerstone of a happy life. George Vaillant, a man who has dedicated almost his entire life to researching happiness, made it clear in an interview that after 80 years of observing 268 men, he came to an undeniable conclusion. The only thing that really matters in life is your relationships with other people. It's that simple, but what does this mean in practice? Well, that instead of wasting hours on social media seeing the perfect lives of others, you should be investing your time in building and strengthening those bonds with your loved ones. Imagine that your relationships are like a garden. If you don't take care of it, it will fill with weeds, and you'll end up with a desolate landscape. So why not dedicate more time to the people who really matter? Furthermore, another published study revealed that the stronger your social relationships, the more satisfaction you will get in life. The study indicates that an increase in social participation can be equivalent to a value of up to £85,000 a year, which is more than $100,000 in terms of happiness. It's as if your happiness had a higher price than that of a luxury car, and that should make you rethink your priorities. Because at the end of the day, what is worth more? A new gadget that will depreciate in a couple of years, or a deep conversation with a friend that makes you laugh until you cry? Of course, I don't want you to become a hermit surrounded by people, but not connecting with anyone. Philosophy teaches us that controlling our emotions and seeking balance are fundamental. So beyond accumulating friends as if they were trading cards, look for those meaningful connections that truly nourish your soul. Invest time in people who make you feel good and who support you. Have a dinner, organize a game night, or simply go for a walk. The options are endless. Happiness is not found in material possessions or in the constant search for external achievements, but in the quality of your relationships. At the end of the day, when you look back, it will be those shared moments that fill your heart with gratitude and satisfaction. So instead of letting life pass you by, remember that the true value of your life is measured in smiles, hugs, and memories. Because as Seneca said, happiness is built with the footprints we leave on the hearts of others. *11. Help other people. Have you ever stopped to think about the power of helping others? It sounds cliché, I know, but there's something truly magical about the act of providing support. According to Professor Martin Seligman of the University of Pennsylvania, helping others can be a direct passport to happiness. So if you're looking for the secret formula for happiness, maybe you should look a little beyond your own navel. Who knows? You might even find the answer in someone else's smile. Science supports what the ancient philosophers already suspected centuries ago. Happiness is not found in the accumulation of things, but in human connections. When you decide to help someone, you're not just doing good. You're also activating a chemical cocktail in your brain. One study showed that by offering support, you decrease activity in the areas of the brain associated with stress and instead stimulate those linked to pleasure and care. It's as if, by giving, you're giving yourself a small piece of happiness. It's not magic. It's neuroscience, but it doesn't end there. Research suggests that if you like to spend your money on others, known as prosocial spending, you'll likely experience more happiness than if you only use it for your own benefit. Imagine you decide to invite a friend to dinner or contribute to a cause you care about. Instead of just accumulating more things that, let's be honest, will end up at the back of a closet, you're enriching yourself with experiences and connections. And best of all, your brain thanks you for it. But what about that inner voice that tells you that you must first take care of yourself? It's a valid concern, but this is where philosophy comes in. These ancient thinkers argued that true well-being comes from living according to virtue and purpose. Helping others is not just an altruistic act, but a way of connecting with your own humanity and that of others at the same time. In short, it's a win-win. They receive help, and you get an extra dose of happiness. Now, I'm not saying you should become a superhero or feel obligated to dedicate your life to charitable causes. Helping can be as simple as listening to a friend who is going through a bad time or sharing your knowledge with someone who needs it. Don't underestimate the power of a kind gesture. Sometimes it can be the light someone was looking for on their gray day. So the next time you feel trapped in the daily routine, remember that there's a world full of people who can benefit from your support. Happiness is not a destination, but a journey that is enriched through the relationships we cultivate and the help we offer. At the end of the day, life is about the connections we make and how those connections transform us. Helping others not only improves their lives, it also improves yours. On this journey, true happiness can be found in shared moments, in laughter, and in the satisfaction of knowing you've done something good for someone else. And who knows, maybe the key to living happily is to be a little less selfish, and a little more generous. Listen to this great reflection. It's worth its weight in gold. True happiness is not found in what you possess, but in what you share. 12. Focus on the good things you have. You ever stop to think about how your day is filled with little gems that you tend to ignore amidst the chaos? Life, that roller coaster that sometimes seems like a never-ending ride, throws surprises, good moments, and of course, a few bumps at us. But what if I told you that the key to a fuller and happier existence lies in focusing on the good things? No, it's not about being an eternal optimist who sees unicorns on every corner. Rather, it's a mindful philosophy that invites you to look from another perspective. Imagine that every day at the end of the day, you sit down with a notebook. No, it's not for you to write your epic novel, but to do a simple exercise called the 3 good things. Yes, it sounds like a self-help mantra. But wait. The idea is that every night you write down 3 things that made you smile, or that at least made you raise an eyebrow in approval. It could be that you had a coffee that tasted like heaven, or that your neighbor finally decided not to play that horrendous music at 3 a.m. The important thing is that by doing so, you are training your mind to look for the positive in a sea of troubles. Science also supports this approach. A study revealed that those who focus on the good things experience significant emotional benefits. In other words, it's as if your brain does a little stretching, leaving behind the mental laziness that often leads us to discouragement. It's a bit like changing the channel of that boring show you don't like and watching something that really captivates you. And yes, we know that sometimes it's easier to stay in the comfort of the negative, as if you were trapped in a routine of a couch and popcorn. But do you really want to live like that? So how can you apply this in your daily life? It's not just about keeping a diary, which by the way doesn't have to have a leather cover to be effective. It can be as simple as creating a small mental space. Think about those moments that light up your day. A meme in your WhatsApp group that made you laugh, or someone who helped you carry your grocery bags. Those little flashes of light are important. And by watering them, you'll realize that your life is full of moments worth remembering. And it's not just about keeping a diary. You can also do a conscious exercise of gratitude. Ask yourself, what do I have in my life that I really appreciate? Sometimes the answer is closer than you think, even if it's as simple as a walk in the park. By focusing your mind on these things, you not only increase your emotional well-being, but also improve your interpersonal relationships. Those who value the good things are often more empathetic and generous, as if they had a magnet that attracts good vibes. Life is not a straight and easy path. It is full of twists and turns that can sometimes make you feel lost. But by focusing on the good things, you can better navigate the storm. Practicing the 3 good things is not just a mental exercise, but a true act of self-love. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember that there is always a ray of sunshine hidden behind the clouds. You just need to learn to see it. In life, no matter how many storms you face, what really counts is how you choose to navigate through them. 13. Avoid resentment. Have you ever felt like a volcano about to erupt? That feeling of anger, the bitterness that settles in your stomach and accompanies you like a bad friend who won't leave. Life is complicated enough without having to drag the weight of resentment. And philosophy gives us some clues on how to free ourselves from those chains. So let's talk about forgiveness, that concept that seems easier to say than to put into practice, but which, surprise, can be the map to a happier life. Imagine for a moment that you are on a boat in the middle of a storm. You have 2 options. Keep fighting the waves or let the sea take you to a calmer place. Anger and resentment are like those waves, always pushing you toward a dark place. Why? Because not forgiving not only affects the person who hurt you, it drags you down too. Practicing forgiveness can lead you to physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. It's not about ignoring the harm or putting on a fake smile, but about denying power to that emotional baggage that weighs so much on your life. Now you might think, sure, it sounds easy, but how do I start? The answer is not in a magic mantra, but in a simple change of perspective. First, acknowledge what you feel. Allow yourself that anger, that sadness, but don't stay there. How about seeing it as a game of chess? Sometimes losing a piece doesn't mean you've lost the game. Forgiving doesn't mean the other person is right. It means you choose not to let their actions control you. Recent research has confirmed what the philosophers already knew. Forgiveness is not just an act of generosity toward the other person, but a strategy for personal survival. A study revealed links between a greater practice of forgiveness and lower levels of stress and better mental health. This is not just an interesting fact. It's a reminder that at the end of the day, taking care of your mental health should be the priority. Furthermore, it was discovered that forgiving yourself and others can act as a protective shield against severe stress, even helping to prevent more serious mental health problems. It's as if forgiveness were a kind of emotional vitamin that, when taken, strengthens your immune system against stress. So why not start practicing it? If you think about it, you're doing yourself a favor. Of course, there will be difficult days. Those moments when anger rears its head again, like a mischievous cat trying to get into the house. On those days, remember that you are not alone. Most of us struggle with forgiveness, but it's a process. Sometimes forgiving can be an act as simple as letting go of a complaint you've been carrying with you for too long. It's like cleaning a messy closet. Once you do it, the space feels lighter. Forgiveness is not a scale where one person loses and the other wins. It is a gift you give yourself, a tool to keep your boat afloat in the midst of storms. So the next time you feel like resentment is trying to ruin your day, remember that in the end, happiness is a choice. Are you going to let others take that opportunity away from you? Listen carefully to this, my friend. Forgiving is not forgetting. It's freeing yourself from the weight that doesn't belong to you. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "Happiness is within you." I'm excited to hear about your successful experiences. I invite you to subscribe, activate notifications, and comment so that YouTube recognizes that these videos are useful for people like you. This motivates us to continue creating similar content in the future. I suggest you check out the 2 latest videos we've recommended. I sincerely appreciate your time and support. See you on our next adventure.